Hey, everybody. Jeremy Beaver here, founder and CEO of Listen Vision, listenvision.com. I have the most incredible panel of guests today. Man, the entire board of directors from RockNRollforChildren.org. First, we have John Belinkie.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Get that mic a little closer.
My pleasure.
We got Jeff Katz, the most gangsta tax attorney in the history of tax attorneys. Pull that mic a little closer.
Very, very kind. Thank you.
You like that intro, right? And then, of course, we got Chris Patty.
How are you? It's been a pleasure to be here.
Indie Music dot
Indie Music TV. Yeah.
TV.
It's the #1 independent music video channel on the globe.
That is the place to go if you want to stream music and see it.
So I have an incredible panel, and what's really cool, and we're going to just like start in a weird story that's going to develop into who you are and why you're here. So the weird story goes like this. I got a friend. I got another friend named Jeff. Okay? Jeff had a kid. I went to Jeff's birthday party. I met this Jeff. I had some tax issues. I called Jeff up. I say, Jeff, I need your help on some tax stuff. He goes, okay, yeah. What do you do? And I'm like, I got a recording studio, broadcast company. He's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we got Steven Van Zandt in town. You want to interview him? I'm like, sure.
I think we invited you to have dinner with Steve Van Zandt and then do the interview.
The dinner, either way, it felt so fast.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, my God, I love this man. I don't know who this man is, but I immediately love Jeff Katz. So what happened is, and why I'm telling this story, you guys, is that was how we met. Well, this guitar right here, which is autographed by the man himself, is a very special event for a very special occasion. And so, John, if you don't mind telling the folks, what is Rock and Roll for Children?
Well, the short version is I'm an insurance guy, and I've spent years and years, more years than I want to acknowledge, helping clients that have had issues with kids. And I have 4 healthy kids of my own, which I'm blessed to have. And that's the kind of cause that resonates with me. So I decided that we were going to do something to help kids. And I was out on the eastern shore of Maryland with some friends in the insurance business, and we all decided that we'd rather be rock stars than insurance agents. So we all decided we were going to learn how to play an instrument. And a couple of us actually stuck with it, and our wives gave us a gift of going to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And I happened to meet a famous performer that I'll leave nameless for now. Let's just say everybody hears his songs in Safeway and every place else when they're walking around. And got him to come out to dinner with us. And at the end of the night, it was, hey, let's go to Ozzy's house. And sure. And the funny thing is, when you meet all these folks and you really don't want anything from them, they're genuine people. They're very nice. They're hugely talented. They're people that we've listened to and idolized all our lives. And we marshaled that into getting them to come in to perform for charitable causes. And the event has kind of grown out of that beginning. The first event in a big tent behind my house, and now it's grown to the point where we've got Van Zandt and others.
And who was the first year again?
The first year we had, Simon.
I'm sorry, the year before Steven Van Zandt.
Steven Van Zandt, we had John Popper.
John Popper.
A couple years back, we had Colin Hay from Men at Work and Rick Derringer. We've had, all kinds of people from Bad Company and from Billy Joel Band and Saturday Night Live Band and Derek St. Holmes from Nugent. And
so the idea was birthed out of a beautiful, awesome, very fortunate experience with rock and roll, and then your desire to want to help children. Jeff's a tax guy. Jeff, how did you get involved in all this?
So John and I actually do quite a bit of work together.
He's also my tax guy. He's the best guy around for that.
So we do quite a bit of work with John. He keeps us very busy. And we actually refer quite a few clients to John as well. So he is really instrumental in helping us implement a lot of our tax and estate planning strategies for clients, helping them get life insurance as well as property and casualty insurance. We frequently find that many of our clients are just massively underinsured or have the wrong types of insurance, or often have policies that just aren't going to hold up for the long term. So John's been really super helpful in terms of going out and helping us decipher what's going on with these accounts, and will these policies withstand the test of time. It's a skill set that we just don't have as attorneys, but having someone like John who we can pick up and call is really helpful. And the irony is that when I give clients his number, I have to warn them in advance. I said, before you call John, let me just tell you, when you reach out to John, you're going to get this weird music on the phone. When you call
I don't know if it's weird music. It could be Hello Dolly, it could be the Rolling Stones, but it's
Wait, you're being serious?
it's
totally
entertaining.
serious.
You literally pick out unique, different tunes for people
I have
to
a
be on?
rotating jukebox on my cell phone with my ringback tones, and you won't hear my voice. You'll hear
You will
music.
not hear- yeah, and it's a
You know he's a music guy when he curates his
yeah,
voicemail.
It is a different song every time you call, but I have to warn people in advance because
Okay.
they're like, well, what's up with this ringtone? And I said,
Right.
well, I get this guy. He's very passionate about music and helping kids, and he started this charity called RockNRoll for Children. They said, well, what do you know about this? I said, well, as luck would have it, I'm on the board. I've been on the board for the last 3 years, and I have a bunch of guitars in my office. And so I got in a big fight with my secretary when I started putting these guitars up, because she said, Jeff, this is not the Hard Rock. You cannot be hanging guitars up all over our office here. And I said, well,
You mean it doesn't
I'll
align
have
with
to have
the
a talk
tax?
with Dottie.
It doesn't align with the tax business? I don't
and
understand.
this is what she said. She said, this is not really professional. And I said, well, what we're doing here, Dottie, is we're getting the word out about this great organization. It's something that we engage in, something that we believe in, and it's a way that we can really, show that we're engaged and involved in the community that we serve. And we believe in the charity, and we believe in the organization. And it's got a great mission. John will talk a little bit
She
about the
clearly hasn't seen my office if she's worried about
Right.
yours.
Yeah,
So
I've heard about yours.
Yeah. So I have 3 guitars at this point. And I'm hopeful to continue to expand my collection every year that I'm on the board of this great organization. And when clients come in, they say, well, what's up with the guitar? And then I have to say, oh, well, it's from RockNRoll. We print up a plaque every year. I think we've got one of our plaques highlighting the organization and the charities. So a couple of years ago, we actually had Children's National as the beneficiary of the event. This year it was the Children's Inn at NIH. I got to meet one of the head of the surgery centers and present him with a check for $100,000. He came out to my office. We mugged for some photos, and I got to hand him the check. And it's that kind of feeling that we're able to really come in and make an impact, and be able to produce something that really resonates beyond our office. I think that's why I do it.
Is this your favorite of all the causes or philanthropic things that you do? Is this your favorite of all the
It is
ones?
certainly
Better
one
say
of-
yes.
It is certainly one of the. It is one that I'm probably the most engaged.
I mean,
with.
come on, man! I'm trying to set you up here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an interesting project working right now. We're in the process of giving away $1 million
I was leading up to that. Yeah.
to various charities, arts organizations. We've just written a check for $100,000 to the Washington National Opera.
Well, actually, hold tight on that, because I want you to tell that whole story, because I actually find that really compelling, and that's actually a really good teaser for people to stay tuned. We're gonna play some of the footage from the Stephen Van Zandt concert, where I was telling Jeff that basically our camera guy got right up, Stephen's nostril. He was so close to him. Chris, let's quickly introduce you and let everybody know how did you get involved?
And in all fairness, before you get started with Chris, people don't realize, because now he's got a different pursuit that he follows. He is a very, very successful, accomplished blues musician as well, with many recordings out there.
Is that how you
Thank
got your
you.
start?
No, well, I started very young playing a bunch of different instruments. I played bass, drums, guitar, keyboards, and violin. And kind of got into the studio business very young, doing studio work and then producing. One thing led to another. I got into video production, and that all kind of sort of morphed into what I do now, which is I'm the founder and chairman of Indie Music TV, which is streams in over 200 countries. It's the number one independent music video streaming channel. And not unlike a charity, the music business is in a lot of trouble and has been for a long time. At least most.
Preaching to the choir on that one, brother.
It's become intellectual property has pretty much lost its value now. It's all about streaming, and nobody gets paid for streaming. So I wanted to create a platform that gave independent and unsigned artists a global voice and let them monetize directly with the audience, and that's what I did. So fast forward to 2012, 2013, lo and behold, I just saw LinkedIn. And I saw Lynn Hoffman, and I was a big fan of a show called Private Sessions, which was on VH1. I'm sorry, on A&E. Lynn Hoffman was also on VH1. She was a VJ on there for years as well. The show went off the air, and of course they kind of went reality TV, and I just reached out to her and I said, so are you doing anything now, and what about maybe doing something on the independent tip? And she and I hit it off. She wound up being a VJ for a couple of years on my channel. She hosted our Top 21. And in having conversations, we started talking about charities, and she mentioned John's charity. She said, you guys should meet. You should talk. And that's how things started.
That's how things start. I mean, if that doesn't
Once
sound...
I can suck them in, they're in for good.
I mean, this is really organic, though. I mean, I think it's really rare, do you know what I mean, that guys like yourselves should all just kind of happen together to create what I just experienced for the first time. I mean, I want to tell you from my perspective, one, thank you guys for inviting us and having us. And you're about to see, some great footage. But two, I mean, to think something that started in your backyard is now selling out the Fillmore with these huge auctions and incredible pieces. Jacob, if you got it queued up, let's go right to let's tease them. The Van Zandt interview's coming in a little bit. Let's give them the footage from the actual concert so they can see how dope that was. Oh, Chuck
All I
Berry
can
had
say
just
is
died.
that he did not act in The Sopranos. That is his personality.
Yeah.
He's something else, that
It's
guy.
you realize that once you meet him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's run that.
Dedicated, obviously, tonight to Chuck Berry. Yeah. Here at RockNRoll. A little blues from Eddie James.
Oh man, bluesy.
Great.
Right. Because a round of applause even weeks and a month after the show. I mean, that was an incredible production that you guys put on. What I wanted to ask you, John, is seeing that and knowing the cause it's connected to. I want to tell people I was really moved at the beginning of the concert when that woman was talking about what the Children's Inn at NIH actually does. And you being a, kind of in the health industry, can you tell people a little bit about that inn and about why it's so important to kids?
Well, first of all, people don't realize they're currently serving 1,500 children and families from 96 countries. So while it's based here in our hometown in D.C., it really is a global reach facility. And, you can imagine that someone, whether it's local or it's in another country, has a very sick child that needs to go someplace because they've exhausted every treatment modality. They need to go someplace where the experimental cutting-edge stuff is happening, which is NIH. And that child goes there and could be there for 6 months, for 8 months, for 9 months. So you've got a family that's separated because one parent has to go with this kid. Siblings are separated. It's really very beyond the illness and everything that goes along with that. It's destructive for the family. The Children's Inn is a place where families can go, be kept intact. They have their own suite of rooms and kitchens. If they want to make their own food, they have restaurant facilities to prepare food if they want to eat with everyone else. The child that's inside the security of NIH, the child that needs to have treatment, goes on the shuttle and gets treatment. There are tutors there for the other siblings so that they don't fall behind in school. The inn shops for these folks and brings groceries back. You can have someone from India that needs specific foods and someone who's Muslim that needs specific foods, or someone that's kosher that needs specific foods. There are separate kitchens, and it's really designed to be a home away from home for these kids. These sick kids and kids in treatment get up in the morning. They go to their mailbox in the lobby. There's something in there for those kids every day. This facility is a way to escape all of the IV drips and the treatments and all the testing that has to happen. And it's really a special place, and none of these people have to pay for any of it.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about,
yeah.
And everyone else who's supporting these types of organizations.
And Jeff, you're the money guy, so let's be honest. What type of money are we talking about that not only gets donated but also maybe is needed? How can people?
So I don't think that the need will ever really be met. I mean, I think whatever they get, they can do more.
Yeah.
It's a great organization. One of the things that we're doing specifically is funding a music program at the Children's Inn at NIH. We're bringing in live musicians to play for the families, to give them a little bit of relief from what they're dealing with, their daily treatment, the day-to-day. We recently brought in a jazz troupe. Was it a four-piece jazz set?
Four-piece jazz band from local band, and we got an a cappella group coming in a couple weeks.
And what we're doing is we're
So you're actually working with them continuously. It's not just like this one event where you raise.
The more we can generate, the more we can do.
Yeah.
It's really dependent on the monies you donate.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I was really, when I first saw about this, when Jeff told me about this, he quickly sent me this video of the previous year of John Popper. And what I'd actually like to show, just how impressive this whole not only organization is, but the concert that they put on are so entertaining.
They're the best shows that you'll ever go to.
We had so much fun. First of all, Jacob, our camera guy, got totally wasted. He had such a great time. Okay. And maybe that's why he was
rock show with an open bar.
He was like up Steven Van Zant's nose. He invited his girlfriend. It was great. I had a great time.
Although you'd be hard pressed to drink more than Mr. Popper was that night. But
you're about to see he was sitting down. Can you run that footage from the John Popper one?
Is everybody in a good mood tonight? This is a great cause, man. We're very proud to be here tonight.
You guys don't mind if we do a little rock and roll for you, do you? Say, boys, hit me!
We are here to rock Bethesda Blues and Jazz tonight for the benefit of the Children's Inn.
$2,000 and $2,500. $2,500 in the back of the room, I need $3. I got $2,500 in the back of the room, I need $3,000. $2,500, I need $3. I got $25 in the back of the room, I need $3,000. He says $3,000, I need $35.
I was blown away when I came here. The venue is incredible. Musicians are incredible. Everybody's so dedicated to this cause. I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Hey, my name's Liberty DeVito. I'm here for Rock and Roll for Children. Come on out, support the cause. It's a great thing to do. Rock on!
It doesn't matter what I say, as long as I sing with the inflection that makes you feel I've been there.
What's really important is why I'm here tonight, and it's Rock and Roll for Children. It's going to be a great show, and really looking forward to seeing everybody in the audience. Thank you.
We are absolutely blown away by the generosity that we've seen tonight of the Rock and Roll for Children Foundation. So thank you very much on behalf of the over 1,500 families that we support each year. We're very thankful for your generosity and your support.
Next we were moving on. It was with me, yeah, me. Next we were moving on. It was with me, yeah, me. Saying I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. Drum and take your time and dance with me. I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. Drum and take your time. Next year, if you didn't buy a ticket, you better be here. Don't make the Beehive Queen come out and get you. Rock and roll for children!
Rockin' for the children!
As we would mingle with the good people we meet.
Hey, thanks for staying with us. You are watching District Spotlight here on WLVSradio.com. I'm Jeremy Beaver, CEO and founder of Listen Vision. ListenVision.com. I have three of the greatest guys who are doing some great stuff. We got John, Jeff, and Chris, the board from RockNRollForChildren.org. You know, what we just saw, was the previous year with John Popper. What I want to get into immediately with Chris, because there were so many great pieces of memorabilia there. Personally, I saw. I don't know if we have. If we can start running some of these autographs. Actually, before we run the autographs, let's do this, Jacob. Yeah. Speaking of autographs, because there's so many awesome autographs, I want to show you what it looks like. Can we get a little zoom in on this one? I want to show you what it looks like when Steven Van Zandt signs something.
There you go.
And he signed it as Solidarity. Little Steven was here. And let me tell you, we asked him this question. I'm now getting to air this. So we asked him this question at the very end of the interview, which was actually a question given to me from my old boss, the president of programming at XM Satellite Radio, Dave Logan, who's a radio legend from Chicago. And he knows I'm a hip-hop guy. So Dave said, you got to ask him about the parallels that he sees between like hip-hop and garage rock and punk rock. And it ended up actually being one of the, we think, one of the coolest moments in the interview, and we think why he wrote Solidarity, you know what I mean? Because he's that type of guy, you know what I mean? He's that deep. Can we run some stills, and can you, Chris, tell us about some of the crazy items that have been auctioned off?
Well, John would know better than I would.
Okay,
John. Both jump in.
But I've seen things from like Neil Armstrong.
What's that?
The purple guitar is signed by Prince.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let him tell you.
What else we got?
Let's see. There was an acoustic signed by Bob Dylan. That may be it.
Bob Dylan. This is the Bob Dylan.
And we've had Taylor Swift. That is one of several that Dave Matthews personally drew. He's very involved in causes for the Black Rhino. So that is completely hand-drawn by Dave on that acoustic.
So it's not just an autographed piece, it's actually a piece of art.
It is a piece of art for sure.
He's incredible.
And that was actually bought by someone at Fox News.
Was it really?
It was a big Dave Matthews
fan. Yeah. What is it? Is that a Willie Nelson? Coldplay.
Coldplay. There is a guitar signed by Willie Nelson and his son.
Right. There we go. That's the Willie Nelson.
And they were lovely to deal with.
And how do you guys acquire all these pieces?
Well, it is not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes, we were talking about that on the way down here. The country guys are much more approachable than a lot of the rock guys because the rock guys have their infrastructure around them that's hard to get to them. But when you can reach the right person who's in the inner circle, they'll all do something for kids. They'll absolutely go out of their way for kids.
Yeah.
Because
Because,
it's
like,
kind of
you
the
know,
one universal cause where all of them cooperate.
having Prince's guitar signed by Prince, so soon. I thought, did that piece sell?
Well, we've been fortunate. I don't want to say my crystal ball is better than anyone else's, but we've had B.B. King stuff, and then he passes away. I wasn't very prescient about Chuck Berry. That caught me by surprise, but, you saw a huge spike in what Chuck Berry memorabilia is going for, obviously, now he's passed away.
Yeah.
It's hard. A lot of these icons are at that point where there isn't a lot of material out there. The Rolling Stones are impossible to get all to sign stuff. There's a lot out in the marketplace, but I don't know how much time we have, but that's actually a good story. I have good Rolling Stones for it.
I'd like to hear it.
So we auction. I have a connection to Mr. Richards' accountant, and we got the Rolling Stones to agree to donate a signed, personalized guitar for someone who won it in our auction. And we had one of their managers there, and he was giving out tickets, and he loved the event, and it was a great night, and the guitar sold for a huge amount of money. And it had to be personalized. So you bought this thing, and now it's on me to get this thing signed by all the Stones with the inscription that this woman wanted, which is, Dear Bob, happy anniversary, you rock, whatever it was, something like that. And then the Stones signed it. And Ronnie Wood signed it, and Keith Richards signed it, and Charlie Watts signed it. And that was right when Keith's book had come out, and Keith and Mick were not really getting along. And because this came to them through Keith, Mick was not interested in cooperating. So as their whole tour goes on, I've got somebody there, like, trying to get the signature, and he's blowing them off at every show, at every venue. And I'm calling the managers, and, we got to get this done, we got to get this done. And it's the last show of the tour at Madison Square Garden. And you need to understand, Rolling Stones all roll in separate limousines, roll out in separate limousines. It's not like they're all hanging together. And he wouldn't sign it before the show, wouldn't sign it at intermission. And I had somebody catch up with him in the tunnel before he hopped into his limousine and lean into the car and go, Mr. Jagger, if you don't sign this, this is going to be on the press tomorrow that you refused to sign something that you all agreed to for children. Because he was so angry at one of his bandmates, and then he finally just signed it. And it was like, we're selling this stuff and, making promises that I really don't control the delivery on, so I have to kind of live it right to the end. But
You got my sweat going just telling me this story. I find it amazing.
Performers that are
I don't know
supposed
how
to
you're
be
not
there
bald
and
after
then
that.
they don't come.
Right. I got gray hairs from that story. And I think one of the things that I wish people could see, because we don't have footage of it, was just kind of how cool the auction is. And I want to give actually a shout out to Dr. Lou, right? Because I went
He's
there.
amazing.
He's amazing. And this guy is a pediatric surgeon, right? And I went there, never having met this guy before, and I walk in, and I see some guy on his hands and knees assembling this crazy truss that looks like it's from some sort of halftime show. I go, excuse me, sir, looking for Dr. Lou? Oh, he gets up off the ground, wipes some oil and stuff off his hands. I'm Dr. Lou. Oh, you don't have someone that could be doing that for you? Oh, no, I love doing this.
He really does love doing all those projects.
And he's not here today, but I can definitely see, especially him being a pediatric surgeon, just like the care, you know what I mean, in all of you guys, the heart that it takes to do this, to run around following stuff. I mean, it's you have to be motivated from something higher than your own desire to just get a signature.
Amazing patience and dedication that John and Lou and the whole organization, everybody. I think that's the thing that impressed me the most. That everything was, number one, I know how difficult it is to get those signatures, and I was flabbergasted when I saw the stuff that they get every year. It's just beyond belief. But I think it's I believe in God, and I believe in people who are passionate about things, and somehow you believe in something, you can make it happen, and they've made it happen, and it's like a small miracle, because rock stars are a pain in the butt, and they don't want to, if they're not into it, they don't want to sign whatever, they don't want to know. But somehow every year they're able to get these people to do it.
And the quantity.
And it's not just the quantity, it's Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen. I mean, it's beyond the who's who. It's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There it is. They have everything. And not just that, like Neil Armstrong, people like that. I mean, there's an amazing eclectic group of memorabilia that they amass every year.
I will say that was one of that for me personally, because aside from music, I'm also a space nut. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Buzz Aldrin, and he signed some stuff for us for the auction, and that was, I still get chills thinking about it. I was shaking hands with a guy who walked on the moon.
Just since we're talking about it, I wasn't even going to ask, but what do you think? What's the what's the coolest piece that you've kind of come across that personally really kind of touched you?
There's a piece that we had last year that was signed. This is before Neil Armstrong passed away. That was signed by all of the men who walked on the moon.
What was it? What was the piece?
A picture of the lunar landing.
Oh, okay.
With all signed by all the guys who walked on the moon. There was another piece that was signed by all of the American astronauts alive who have been in space. And both of those things, I mean, I remember as a kid watching them walk on the moon. And I hate to say it, I'm that old, but but it's, that was my generation. I mean,
I watched it in the Sears. We were buying a TV, and the moon landing was on every TV, and of course there were these huge 25-inch console wooden things, right? And they were everywhere. And let's see, it was 69, so I was 7. And I was just standing there thinking, this can't be real. They're really on the moon.
Does that stuff in the auctions, do the non-music pieces go as quickly as the music pieces?
Yes. Vodka, and there's somebody out in California who's making vodka from hemp, and he sent us a case of stuff.
Because I saw a few people get some crazy deals.
And
like if there's one
trips
reason to come out next year, beyond the beautiful children and helping people, it's that you could get some real crazy deals on this stuff.
It just
right?
depends on the moment. There was a week trip to a villa in Tuscany with a full staff, 7-bedroom villa, went for $1,000. Payable to a charity, so it's
and it's a write-off.
Wow.
Wait, is it a write-off?
I have no comment on that.
Well, it's a charitable deduction. If you own a company,
you need to retain him before you get advice.
You see, he's not going to give any free advice.
No.
But just for the record, Jeff, where should people go if they want some really good tax help?
jdcats.com, www.jdcats.com.
And John, if people need help with their health and life insurance, where should they go?
Health Insurance Specialist, www.his-inc.com.
Where should people go if they want the best indie music videos in the world?
www.indimusic.tv, Indie Music TV.
We're not
Make
done.
sure you go to rockandrollforchildren.org.
Yeah. And speaking of which, you guys were talking about how difficult it is to get a hold of artists and to kind of get, the things you're looking for in these situations. We got an incredible, exclusive interview with him, and we actually got him to answer some really pretty topical questions about some shitty things that are happening right now.
He's really, really bright.
He was quite frank, and he's super intelligent. Can we run this interview? That was so compelling.
Okay, because that's two different things. And venting is fine. Nothing wrong with venting. Go out there and march and demonstrate and protest. But if it's not backed up with voting... Everything I do virtually has to do with making sure that kids have access to the greatest music ever made. With my radio show, my syndicated show, my 2 channels on Sirius XM, my Rock and Roll Forever Foundation, writing a curriculum for schools. Kids are tough. I mean, they're smarter than we were, so they can look on YouTube and find things. But it would be nice if they're being taught these things in class very, very young, so that they're aware that they exist. And then hopefully listen to radio stations, like mine, where you can hear it. The obvious correlation is young people expressing themselves in a way that is a hybrid of what came before it, which is why the best punks and the best hip-hop people have a very strong sense of history. They have respect for what came before them. And that's what makes them great. Snoop or Jay-Z or whoever it might be. They know where they're coming from and they respect it, and that's what's important, to pass along that information to the younger generation, that music doesn't fall off trees. It doesn't come, it comes from an army of people creating a creative force. So that's the correlation. It's young people expressing themselves, and like I say, the best ones know that they are a hybrid of what came before them. Let's not mistake political activism with venting, okay? Because that's two different things. And venting is fine, nothing wrong with venting. Go out there and march and demonstrate and protest. But if it's not backed up with voting, signing up for some organization, joining some organization, real political activism, then all these protests are just venting. Right now, the bad guys are winning, and I mean winning big. And when I say bad guys, I mean anybody who doesn't understand that pollution's a bad thing. They're a bad person. They're a person that's got some kind of mental problem. If they don't think their own children and grandchildren should be breathing clean air and drinking clean water, or not having poison in their food, you got a serious problem. These people are running our government. There's a bit of brain damage going on there, in our leaders. So hopefully somebody's going to wake up and organize people, and it can be more than just a protest. It's a distraction to think this is about Donald Trump from the real issue, which is the Republican Party. We need both parties to have serious political discourse in this country, and they represent two extremes, which is fine. States' rights on the right, national on the left. Every man for himself or on this extreme. Total compassion on this extreme. Two elements of the Republican Party now have made it irrelevant and have made it impossible to have serious discussion anymore. One of which being the environment. This is completely irrational. So somewhere along the line they bought into this fiction. You have to choose between the environment and business. Nothing is further from the truth. The future of business is very much having to do with the environment. And the other is an equality issue, which I think is part of a bigger problem within the Republican Party, which is religious extremism. The reason why they have this absurd notion that women are not equal and gay people are not equal comes from religious extremism. I mean, what else could it possibly come from? And it's completely un-American. It's anti-American, plain and simple. And so it becomes a distraction from the real issues we should be talking about: healthcare and economics and even guns and all those subjects that need serious discussion. We can't have serious discussion anymore because of these religious extremism within the party and this irrational love of pollution.
Thank you so much for your time. Your insight's really incredible. Really appreciate it.
My best to Dave.
Jeremy Peaver here, CEO and founder of ListenVision.com, with just the coolest board of directors that one can possibly imagine. We got John, Jeff, and Chris from rockandrollforchildren.org. You know, we only have just about 5 or 7 minutes here left, and I want to talk to people about the importance of helping your community. I know that maybe it sounds sappy or corny to some people, but I think in this day and age, thinking about the community you live in, thinking about how you can help it, and then how you can maybe even multiply that effect. You've done it. You've demonstrated it. What do you think to other people who are watching? There's hundreds, thousands of people watching right now who are probably listening to you guys talk and are like, well, that sounds insane. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like pretty lofty. So if I'm just like a guy in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? Like, I'm from New York too, actually. Or you're in PG County, wherever you are, Montgomery County, and you want to help children, you want to help any cause. What do you think? I mean, you guys have built this thing. What's the key? What's the trick?
Start with one. It's not about the numbers. It's about doing something that is passionate in your life, that you want to give, and you feel passionate and compelled to give. And it's contagious. Unfortunately, negative energy is contagious too, but positive energy is also contagious. And there's nothing stronger than love in the universe. I'm convinced of that. So I think really it's just about starting with something that's important to you and giving back, because things come back to you. When you give, it comes back. And I don't just mean monetarily or whatever. I mean, the feeling that you get when you do something good for somebody, it's as good as what they're getting, whatever it is, whether it's money or health care or it's such an incredibly healthy symbiotic relationship that, it can grow into something like this,
So when you give, what I think a lot of people don't see is the energy that it gives off, right? And not saying that for selfish reasons, but like, I think nowadays it might be fair to say that things are difficult for a lot of people. And so when you think of the act of giving, unfortunately you're focused on that food you're giving, that money, the actual tangible thing, and you're less focused on the energy that it gives off. Because even if you can't handle it or you can't afford it, if you can comprehend that it's part of a larger universe of attraction, I mean, Jeff, I wanted to leave this till the end, and now I've perfectly done it because I'm the greatest host ever.
And most humble.
You got tasked with giving in a way I have not seen since, what's that movie with Eddie Murphy where he's forced, was Brewsters Millions.
Brewsters Millions, yeah.
Okay, so my guy Jeff, if you've ever seen Brewsters Millions, we have him in real life. Jeff, tell me this story of giving.
So we had a client, dear woman of Ms. Louise Remy. Ms. Remy was a longtime Washingtonian, native of I believe, New York, who moved down here and passed about a year and a half ago without any family. And it was her desire to try to benefit children and the community at large by making the arts accessible to them. And so one of the things she did is she left, as part of her estate plan, which we drafted for her, she tasked us with giving away her money to various arts organizations that really engage the community, that provide real tangible benefit, and in a way that would be impactful, that would really produce almost like a living legacy to what she stood for. And so we are in the process of giving away about $1 million to various arts organizations. We've already made significant gifts to the Children's Inn through Rock and Roll for Children. We've also benefited a group called Let's Help Kids, who is buying violins, violas, and cellos for children in Title I schools throughout the District of Columbia. They just recently delivered 72 violins, violas, and cellos to DC public schools. They actually just contributed $40,000 as part of Ms. Remy's bequest to the Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And what we figured is that by the time we're done, we'll have 9,000 instruments out on the streets in the hands of local school children to really come in and engage. A couple of other donations, significant donations we're making are to the Washington National Opera through the Kennedy Center. We're funding the Young Opera Lovers program for the next 4 years. So we're going to make free and discounted tickets to the opera available to individuals who are between 22 and 45 years of age. And we're also sponsoring or co-sponsoring opera in the outfield with Eminem Mars. This is a night of free opera at Nats Stadium. So we've made a significant contribution to allow the public in to really enjoy and experience opera. It's a free event. They'll have giant M&Ms running around. M&Ms will be giving away free M&Ms.
We're talking about the candy, not the rapper, right?
Yes. The rapper will not be present.
It's a
The
totally
candy, that would be a different M&M completely.
a different kind of an
That would be a
event.
different type
It's
of
a weird
yeah.
scenario. Although I think he actually did that one time.
I think
something
yeah,
similar.
Yeah. So I don't think Eminem will be present, but the
Weren't you
M&Ms
also telling me about Thelonious Monk or who
what
was the jazz organization?
So we've been talking to the Thelonious Monk Jazz Institute about making contributions. We've also been looking at the Imagination Stage. We recently made a contribution to the Metropolitan Ballet Theater. I think that was $10,000. And so we're just trying to get these dollars out in a way that's going to be impactful, that provides great opportunities. We've already made significant contributions to National Public Radio, WAMU, the local public broadcasting stations.
I know you're in your final stretch with this, but if someone was watching that did have a proper 501c3 nonprofit, should they contact you?
Yeah,
or?
absolutely. We still have not expended all the funds. We're still looking for great organizations that have a mission and that do things in a way that are impactful. One of the things we really like about this organization is that they have no paid staff members. There's no paid board members. They have low overhead, and so every dollar that they raise really is going
Goes
directly
to the
back
cause.
into the cause.
How would somebody contact you if they had that?
Best
type
way
of
would be to
organization?
reach us through the website, which again is www.jdcats.com. We are limited in terms of the types of contributions to arts organizations that really inspire folks in the District, Maryland, and Virginia area, and that are music-based,
It's
music-oriented.
music-based organization in this area,
Yep.
properly designated.
Yeah, it must be a 501c3.
Must be
Yeah.
501c3, and really helpful when the dollars they receive actually goes to the
Correct.
cause.
That's right.
So one of the great things, I don't know if you caught Jeff saying that, was that the Rock and Roll for Children organization, almost sounds like almost
We
100%.
are all volunteers. Nobody gets paid. There's no salaries. There's no payroll. This is predominantly run by a small group of volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers.
And if someone
the
did
board of
want to
directors.
volunteer, how would they go about contacting?
What I would say is go to the website, www.RockNRoll4Children, all spelled out, and send us an email. They come to my inbox, and I promise you we'll get back to you. We're always looking for people that want to help.
And since we're just kind of plugging everything now, I want you to tell us, elevator pitch wise, what can everybody expect to get, when they go to Indie Music TV, and how has it kind of helped what type of relationship have you created between Indie Music TV and the organization?
Well, the main thing for us is to help them get the word out there. And of course, next year, we're very excited that we're going to be streaming the event live. So that's going to help a lot.
And
it's gonna
hopefully
be
the auction,
global.
too.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to do an online auction. It'll be like a ticker on the bottom, a rolling lower third kind of thing, yeah. Wow. And this way, people who can attend the event.
I want that guy in Germany in his underwear on his couch able to bid
Absolutely.
on this guitar.
Who's bidding?
we have the capacity to take global bids, so anyone anywhere in the world can bid in on this
You're
stuff.
kidding me.
Nope.
And I'm telling you, I came with the wrong thing in mind because I'm so focused on the interview and the broadcast that I wish I had come with just a giant, wallet filled. Because, you had some incredible pieces. What can they expect maybe next year? Do we know what people can bid on next year?
Well, I just got in a Rolling Stones guitar, and I just got in a guitar signed by Nancy and Ann Wilson from Heart. And we're working on some other things. There are a couple of very big things that we just can't talk about yet, but we'll come back on soon if we can nail them down.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the works right now. I think we made sort of an exponential leap from the year before, and this year is going to be even more beyond that if things go the way we're hoping they're going to go. But again, you don't want to talk about it and jinx it until every T is crossed and every I is dotted and the contracts are signed and all that. But
Right.
It's shaping up to be really like a global event.
I can
And that's
promise
what
you,
we're hoping.
regardless of who it is, it will be an intimate rock concert that'll knock your socks off.
That was a little surprising to me, actually, that the size of that venue still gave me a really intimate show feel. What I'd like to, well, first of all, I'd like to actually just thank you guys. You know, I want to thank you guys for being on. I want to thank Jeff for this really cool, I'm going to show this again, because this is going to be on the walls here of, Listen Vision Studios here, because we want to be a part of this cause. We think this is a great cause. Yeah. We're going to do everything we can to try to get the word out on this.
And those great shirts
already
that
are.
Chris is sporting there will be available on the website shortly.
Yep.
That shirt?
We're
Shamelesspromotion.com.
Shamelesspromotion.com.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Well, listen, from the bottom of my heart, I really want to say thank you guys for letting us be involved with this. Thanks
you.
for
It's
actually
great.
coming on today.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Because, time is something that I think is most valuable and most precious. So when you put it all towards a cause like this, I mean, you get good results. I want to tell my audience that I'm back from, I don't know, what was I on? Vacation. I have stuff going on. Jeff knows I got stuff going on. Listen, you can now expect every Friday at 5 o'clock to catch District Spotlight. We got some great, great guests coming up. I have a really, really big guest for next week. I can't reveal yet, but let me tell you, autograph status here. Okay, so stay tuned. RockNRollForChildren.org. Please go there, volunteer your time, donate your money, do whatever you have to do, and most importantly, stay abreast of what's about to happen. Because do we have maybe a date of the when this will happen?
March 17th, 2018 is the next big event. St. Patrick's Day next year.
Okay,
Get your cool
At
beef
the
ready.
Fillmore in Silver Spring.
Okay, so hopefully the announcement will come out soon. We got about 30 seconds here to plug some websites where people can get you.
Health insurance specialist at HIS-INC.com and RockNRollForChildren.org.
JDCats.com.
Indie Music TV, INDIMUSIC.TV.
And of course, you're watching Listen Vision live, but I encourage you to go to listenvision.com to see all of the services we offer here in the studio. This has been really one of my favorite and most special episodes I've actually had of this show, personally. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of it. And stay tuned for Freestyle Fridays, because the ciphers and the battles and the rapping and the everything is going to be crazy. So stay tuned. Thank you so much. This has been District Spotlight.
All you MCs out there, switch your position and come to Listen Vision, DC's #1 recording studio. This is how we go, you can check your whole flow. All them studios, they overcharging us. You gotta come to Listen Vision and get with us. This is DC's #1 recording spot. This is KRS-One. What up, K-Dot? My man DJ Boom, they got a whole room and they can get down with. I hope to see you soon. Come down to Listen Vision and switch your position. Real hip hop. Listen Vision, Listen Vision, DC's #1 recording studio. Listen Vision, DC's #1.